Эй. Низкобойный трамвай. Ножезги.
Трамвай.
здесь есть, что-то здесь, что-то не будет выполнять. В этом будет. Что-то дуть начал, что-то холодно слышно. Высказка забыто. Так. Ну да. Ну, вот это, наверное, это имеется в виду. Да, Меркурепс. Знаешь? Сам не знаешь? А, ты гитарист такой? Я как раз родиться, кстати. Че? Чепом. Почему вот Гута? Что там? Откуда он мог? Чем он это что-то засал? А, так, что-то вещается. Губируется. Ни хрена не губируется. Еще раз. Опа! О, шути уже, шути. Это тоже не пойдет, надо будет отдельно сделать эту штучку. Мажор. Чё? Что такое? Еще звуки. Что за блин? Чильку. Рыбака давай снимем. Так пишется. Просто. Дома. Ой, мама, как сказала, просто вообще. Ну на, вот видишь, как интересно тут. Это же мы вот, блин, ну, ну, это моя догадка. Я, скорее всего, женщина будет портиться, потому что, да, где навсегда, да, типа того, будет, может, да, она понимает. Да. То есть, нет, ей самой, конечно, нравится, может, безусловно, да. Ну, да. Понятно, всем будет плохо, понимаешь? Да. Наверное, так вот, да. Ой, любимая мне, знаете, я понял, да. Колледж, культура, колледж. Ой, мама. Видишь? Ладно, я как пацан понимаю. Только, видимо, это мне самому не понимаешь, что да? Лучше терпеть детей, да, чем терпеть сумасшедшую муму. Геру, который едят, еду кладет, да, подкладывает, да. Ну я так уже образно. Ну я просто тут никак по-другому не это самое. Ну вот нам, да, понимаешь. Вот насколько, знаешь, сколько ты ненавидишь свой род людской, как говорится, да. Ты потом не удивляйся, потому что понимает это себя. Видишь, оказывается, ну ладно, я просто уже все. Просто же это вообще пипец интересно, когда это нет. Ладно, все забыл. Вот пищ, причем, видишь, грушевые аккорды. Это не грушевня, да. Что, серьезно? Ну не грушевый, значит это восхвалять, да, хвала, значит. Ну,
What's up, everybody? I'm gonna start an A flat tonight. I'm gonna show you how to follow a preacher. All right. Start off in F. We're gonna modulate to A flat. All right. You always want to start off with a preacher here, whatever their key is. But I'm just starting off in F. You start off in your lower register. You don't want full open. You want to give them, just give them that much. All right. Build a little bit more. Pull this drawbar out. All right. Now that's when you should be giving them just a little bit more. All right. Because most preachers will start out and. The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, so you get that. But then there comes a point, and that's sometimes that's Baptist churches, okay? But then you have different style of preaching where you have a hard hitter. All right, and they'll say, and all of your trouble, everything that you've been going through, God said to tell you, you're about to come out. Yes, you are. You see how I'm hitting like that? You just hit it and get off of it. Some people don't know when to intensify. I'm going to show you when to intensify. Pull your drawbars out. Don't pull them all the way out. All right? Pull them out like this. Give yourself some room for when they get to the drive. You should be right here. By the time most preachers get to their max key, sometimes it's around A flat, sometimes it's around B flat. Tonight it'll be around A flat, all right? By the time they get to their max key, you want to turn your vibrato on C3, pull your drawbars out, and take the first drawbar in and push it back to 7. You don't want to leave it out at 8. This is 8. But 7 makes it sound like you're screaming. Now, watch what I'm doing. When they get to a certain point, now, you want full on, full throttle, pull this out, and hold the note. Learn how to grab that bass. You see how I'm holding that note? That's for when you get straight drive. See how I'm doing that? I'm done. Deuces. I'm going home.
Yeah. Ладно. Всё, решил.
Despite his refusal to admit it, President Trump's time in the White House is coming to an end, and that puts the issue of presidential pardons front and center. This afternoon, we are getting to reporting on how the president might use this power on the way out, whether he might actually try to pardon himself. Evan Perez has a scoop for us on this, and so what do you know about what the president could be thinking here?
Well, Brooke, first, the president has to move to the acceptance part of his
Right.
grief. He's got to work that out. But once he does, I mean, we were told that he's already had conversations with people close to him, some of his aides, to look into this question of exactly how much of these pardons he can do. Now, the easy part for him is that he already has talked a lot on Twitter about some of the people who were involved in the Mueller investigation, people in his campaign who he believes were unfairly targeted simply because they were with him. And those people, of course, include Michael Flynn, his first national security advisor, who's still in court trying to get out of his conviction, or rather his guilty plea, Paul Manafort, his former campaign chairman, and of course, the big question is, what does he do about his family and himself? Now, that's a big question. The president on Twitter mused about this issue in 2018. He said that he believes he has the power to self-pardon. I'll tell you that the Justice Department looked at this question back in the Richard Nixon era in 1974, and they said, quote, under the fundamental rule that no one may be a judge in his own case, the president cannot pardon himself. Now, there's a lot of disagreement constitutionally as to whether or not this would be legal, but there's another way for the president to take care of this. He could temporarily step down, and Mike Pence could act as president and give him such a pardon before the president leaves office in January 20th. Of course, Brooke, the big thing here for the president, even if he gets a federal pardon, this does not solve all of his problems, his legal issues.
New York State, right?
Right, New York State and other states could have investigations into his company. We know that those are looking as to whether or not, looking into the big questions of whether or not there was any tax crimes that were committed. So the president is not out of the woods, even if he gives himself a pardon before January 20th.
Just when you think you had covered it all, Evan Perez.
Yep, not over.
Not over. Evan, thank you. Let's talk about all that. Garrett Graff is a CNN contributor, and Anna Navarro is a CNN political commentator. Welcome to both of you. And Garrett, let's start on pardons. I mean, the president potentially pardoning himself. What say you?
I agree with Evan that it does not seem that is necessarily something that would hold up in court. One wrinkle, though, in this is a corporation pardon. We have never seen in U.S. history a corporation pardon before, but it does seem like Trump could potentially pardon the Trump organization, and that could hold up in court if you wanted to try to wipe away some of the legal challenges that might face his presidency and his business after he leaves office.
Okay, I'm going to put a to be continued on that. We'll move on. Anna Navarro, Republicans. Your party, we are seeing a few Republicans emerging, Senators Grassley and Thune, while saying on one hand Joe Biden should receive the presidential daily briefings, on the other, they've stopped short of calling him the president-elect. Is this creative semantics? What would you like to say to these members of your own party?
Enough is enough. Look, they know. They absolutely know. There's no way you can tell me that Lindsey Graham does not know that Joe Biden is the president-elect and Donald Trump lost. Grassley knows it. Langford knows it. Everybody knows it. This is far from being Florida 2000, okay? We're talking about 4 states, and we're talking about margins in the double digits of tens of thousands. So knock it off, guys. You cannot call yourself the National Security Party. You cannot call yourself the pro-military party and sit there in silence while you watch a demented, delusional man in denial just strip the Defense Department. and strip the DHS department and get rid of everybody who doesn't go along with the idea that he's lost. And at the same time, not allowing Joe Biden to put a team together, to have the intelligence necessary. This makes us vulnerable. And I know that they know, because I know Lindsey Graham. There's no way he can.
Are you
be
talking to
pretending
them?
that he doesn't.
Are you talking
Yes.
to them and saying yes?
Lindsey, okay, it's one thing for Trump to be crazy. It's another thing to put the country in a threat, in a position of being vulnerable, in a position where an international foe can take advantage of this chaos and this lack of preparation. This is no joke. We have got to come together. We've got to make sure that Joe Biden has got his team in place and has got the intelligence necessary. And listen, it's time to unchain themselves from the albatross that has been Donald Trump around the neck of Republicans for the last 4 years, not allowing them to have their own convictions.
Stay tuned, because maybe in 4 more years, Garrett, sources are telling CNN that they expect Trump to tease this potential 2024 run when he does finally acknowledge the election results. These sources are telling us that they expect, Trump to dismiss 2020 as fraudulent, but they expect him to hint that he's running again in 4 years. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think you're right to look at his long-term influence on the party, because if you look at a figure like Sarah Palin, who was also so polarizing and so inspirational to the Republicans, her peak influence in the party actually came in the 2010 midterms after she lost to Barack Obama and Joe Biden. And I think that there's a lot to augur and hint at the fact that the most MAGA-ish days of the Republican Party might actually come in 2022 or 2024. Because remember, even if Donald Trump ultimately decides not to run, there are other family members who have those aspirations. You could imagine, for instance, Ivanka Trump running against AOC in the New York Senate race in 2022. Or what if Don Jr., who in many ways has been the most popular Trump family surrogate, decides that he wants to carry the MAGA banner forward in 2024.
What is Anna Navarro, you hear all of that Garrett's throwing out, not necessarily an impossibility. Ivanka, Don Jr., that drain the swampiness may not have seen its best heyday until, the next couple of years. Is that possible? What do Republicans you're talking to say?
Look, I think there's no way that Donald Trump goes quietly into the good night, okay? He feeds off the rallies, he feeds off the crowds, and he's got a database of 70 million donors, and he's a marketer and a brand person at heart, and he's going to find a way to monetize that and to continue wielding influence and to continue feeding his ego with the rallies and the applause. Maybe ABC should just do us all a favor and cast him on Dancing with the Stars so he can go do his macho man dance and
you really
still
want to
get
watch
votes. Yeah, no, I'm good with that. If they want to put all of them on there, put Ivanka, put Kaylee, put them all on Dancing with the Stars so they can get their kicks and they can get their applause lines and they can be in the limelight and they can get somebody voting for them, even if it's, for Who Danced Macho Man or YMCA best. But I don't think he's going away. And whether he runs or not in 2024, I can tell you he's going to continue teasing it and talking about it and keep it dangling in front of Republicans as a way to keep Republicans disciplined and in line and not rejecting him. And also because he is going to find a way to make a buck out of this. Make no mistake about that. Whether it's a network or whether it's giving speeches and charging for rally attendance, whatever it is.
Ну да. Нет, что ты, это же Америка. Да. Ну, он тебя понял. Не знаешь же, за кого голосуешь. И СМИ тоже кому-то принадлежит, если что, так-то. Можно также то же самое. Ну, ладно, это как бы. Хорошо. всех так всё равно. Приезжаешь, всё нормально, хорошо.
Believe me, this man is going to find a way to make a buck out of it because also he's got debts. Let's not forget that little
Right,
detail.
right. I'm still back on Macho Man, and you gave me a visual, Anna Navarro, that I'm not really happy with. So thanks for that today. Anna Navarro and Garrett Graff. Guys, thank you both so much for all of that, and I think both of you are.
Hi, I'm Dr. Amy Killen. I have my own medical practice, and I've been using Doodly now for a few weeks to create these really fun
Or spot on.
Ну это ж смешно, ничего себе. 2000, а нет, где там. 7 лет. Да, да. Так нет, да. Тем был таким остался уродом, да, я помню. Где ты? Старости. Кстати, этот, ну, чувак.
Hello musicians, this is Corey Taylor from skilledmusician.com, where we're helping musicians improve. Thank y'all so much for checking out this video. Now today I want to take y'all a little bit behind the scenes and show you my computer and what I'm seeing. So let's not waste any time, let's get started. So what I've been doing is creating a list of all the suggestions you all have given me over the past few days. And I kind of organized them, and I wanted to show you this organization and talk about a few things. So let's go over to my computer. So here's the video suggestion list, and I've organized these by topic. So you see harmony, and harmony, we have a lot of things here in the harmony section. And then next is technique. We have a lot of technique stuff. Not as much as harmony. Harmony is by far the most popular, but so we have technique, and then improvisation. Technique and improvisation are the same in popularity. Then we have ear training, rhythm, accompanying a singer, repertoire, practice techniques, and musician mentality. So what if there was a way to address all of these suggestions, literally all of them, in a very systematic framework? Well, I've been working on actual framework. We actually call it the Musicians Accelerated Growth Framework, and you'll be hearing more about that soon. But that addresses all of these, gives you a framework, and then it teaches you all of these ideas step by step from beginner to advanced. I'm really proud of it, and I would love to share it with you. So we're not going to go in depth now because we have some in-depth exclusive teachings and exclusive stuff, resources and stuff for those who are on the early bird wait list. But what I want to do is show you that I am working on your suggestions, but I wanted to take a step back and just take a big view over it all and say, listen, we've built something that addresses all of these suggestions literally in real depth, and show you that if you're serious about really improving, we have something for you that's coming. And so if you're really interested, definitely put your name and email on the early bird waitlist, because you'll be pleasantly surprised. All right. So thank you so much for checking out this video. So until the next one, be blessed.
Что ты теряешь, кроме зубов? Наоборот, ну нет, не надо, поэтому это имеется в виду, что там самое главное. Ну нет, ну как ты сам считаешь? Чего нет? Это самое. Не, у меня есть экземпляр русский печатник. А, там перевод, да, ну да, ну. Там. самое сложное это октавы и разбежку. Что, серьезно, самое сложное это октава, что ли, это считается? Не самое, я не понимаю. Часто используемое, наверное, да? Самое крутое. Нет, я не понял. Нет, не могу. Запретные топики, короче, запретный топик. Нет, не мое, не мое, хрена. Ну, у вас. А, кто здесь? А, ну да, кстати, да, кстати. Как эта штучка тут? Ничего, что ты написал, что ли? Нет, это я сам себе писал. Написал я сам себе, называется. А, вот это тоже важно, все-таки немножечко. Тоня Байден, что там было написано? Тоня Байден, как что Тоня? Маруся? Дуня Байден? Нет. Наверное, может и так даже, никто не знает. Так, это что там у нас? Идеально, что ли, лицо? Терри Перри. Терри. что-то этих всех штук. Полностью здесь. Понимаешь, в проводе эта штука шмик-шмок. Просто если она же делать тебе нехрен, почему бы нет. Гуздание жизни. Ну, шутила, может, так. Терабайты информации. Васяп! 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 Чё ты? Видишь, не созели. Ты их... Это же... Другие. Ладно, тебе.
I would like to show how to play trills comfortably, from the larger motions to the small ones. Trills are single rotations, meaning that when you play, if we use, let's say, the second and the third finger, when you play the second finger, the finger, hand, and forearm turn to the left, and when you go to the third finger, they turn to the right. It's going left to right, all the way to the forearm. Everything has to move together as a unit so that there are no pulls, there are no isolation of fingers, there's no reaching, stretching, and there's no pushing hard into the key, especially by the forearm. 1, 2. Even 3 and 4. The fourth is considered to be a weak finger. It is weak only when it's played in an isolated fashion. The moment it's connected to the forearm, it gets exactly the same support as all other fingers. The forearm only when it works. Whether in key descent, supplemented by the hand and especially by the forearm, in key descent, and that's how it goes. Whether it's 2, 3, 1, 2, even 3 and 4. The fourth is considered to be a weak finger. It is weak only when it's played in an isolated fashion. The moment it's connected to the forearm, it gets exactly the same support as all other fingers, as long as it's not isolating, trying to move to it, but is using the rotational movements to get there. It feels as. And if necessary, when people first come, and it's a very common question, how to play trills comfortably, because people get very, very tight when they play the fingers by themselves. So the motion may be a little bit larger in order to feel it. And of course, we concentrate first on the forearm because it's generally frozen. As the forearm gets freer and moves more and more together with the fingers, you can see my fingers are not dead. They're just moving in the right amount to feel the connection to the forearm. So they move together, and as we get comfortable, we can start making the movement smaller. And as we make movements smaller, they can go faster. In other words, if we have large movements, we can't go fast. So it's in the training, it's a step to free everything up, to feel the comfort of moving from one finger to the next, and then minimizing it so that we can play quickly. Same. And to the question is, so how do you know that it's still there? It feels as comfortable, larger, as it does smaller. As a matter of fact, it was meant to be small. We have enlarged the movements to work them into the body. But where it feels really natural is in its natural habitat, which is as small as necessary, still feeling the synchronization of the movement. So at no point the finger is moving in one direction, the arm is already pulling in the other direction. Those dual pulls are one of the causes for tension and limitations. So this is how we do, this is how we work it in, and it gets smaller and smaller. And if you stood right next to me, you would still see that tiny bit of movements from side to side. Now, that holds true when the intervals get larger. If we go, let's say, a fifth apart, same rotation. We go to a sixth. What we can see, of course, as the distance gets larger, we have to accommodate it by slightly larger rotation, slightly larger preparatory motion that will get us across without having to reach and stretch. So it's the combination of the rotational movements and the lateral, the walking hand and arm, working together in minimal amount. Again, larger, smaller, same for 7. The forearm changes slightly its position to be right in the middle of the two notes. Sorry. All gets integrated, all becomes a stew with the different ingredients making one dish here. It's one feeling. Same for the octave. If we stretched, it's one result. If we have these movements, again, slightly larger when necessary, the beginning, becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. And of course, that's the answer to how do we play broken octaves. So it's right here.
Разместите вакансию на ХХРУ всего за 199 рублей. Ведь здесь можно найти любого сотрудника.
And the first thing that I like to show is how high should we be sitting, because if we're sitting too high or too low, you'll see that it's not possible to keep the fingers, hand, and arm unified. So right there, this is where we start. That in order to keep them as a unit, the elbow has to be level with the keyboard, with the top part of the keyboard, right there. This is one thing that allows for this unity to take place. The other thing that is very important, once we unified, people often still hold themselves up, they hover. And in order to create the correct balance at the keyboard, one should feel that they're resting down, without the keys going down, resting down. And for that to happen,